Welcome to this week's edition of Ted's Tips. As I promised, this is part 2 of Lake Erie and how to catch a legitimate 10-pound plus walleye. I want to go over the program and kind of the general areas in the water column that these fish like to hang out in. So, right here, this next few minutes, pay attention because this is the program that you can use that I've caught a lot of big 10-pound plus walleyes with. So, ignore the kind of the crude drawing here, but it's about the best I can do. Right here, the water column is, like I mentioned in part 1, you're going to be trolling anywhere from about 30 to 50 feet of water. And this is a spawning reef here that tops out between 12, 13, 15 feet of water. Drops into deeper water. And I believe what happens is that these fish spawn on these reefs at night and then they move out directly in that same level, only suspended. And the real productive zone that I have found is right here in that 10-foot to 20-foot zone. If you place your crankbaits in that zone in the deeper water and you're marking fish suspended in that deeper water, those baits right in that zone should catch them. Now, you can always run a few deeper and a few higher as well, but this has always been a pretty good productive zone for big fish. And as you can see here, I usually troll in that 1 to 1.5, no more than 2 miles an hour in the springtime when that water temperature's in that 45 to 53 degree water temperature. That's typically right post-spawn. You might catch a few pre-spawn walleyes as well. You can see here is the offshore trolling boards. You've got the rods. And as you're moving forward, a lot of times I'll just pull my boat with the Minnkota Altera or Tarova and crawl along at that even a half mile an hour, sometimes half mile to a mile and a half an hour, not a whole lot. I might use that in conjunction with my Mercury kicker motor, my Pro kicker in the back, so I've got a push and a pull. And I do a lot of S-turns, so, as I'm trolling, I'm going to go right, I'm going to go left, I'm going to go right. And what that does, it speeds up the outside lures and it stalls the inside lures. And that's exactly what I did in 2002 when I caught that 53.2 pounds of fish for 5 walleyes. I noticed that I get the bites when the boards or the baits would stall. And so do a lot of S-turns, speed up, slow down, try to figure out, what those fish want that day. And keep those lures, right in that suspended area, that 10 to 20 foot down over that 30 to 50 foot of water. Okay, now here are some of the lures that I like to use. Again, these aren't the only lures that are really out there that you could use, but this one right down here is a relative newcomer. It's called the Bandit. You can see they're all kind of similar type of profile. And then here's a reef runner. And then this is a husky jerk, the largest husky jerk that they make. And all 3 of these work really well in this early springtime. And that's what I typically, when the water temperature is below 50 degrees, I use crankbaits. When it's right at that 50 to 55 to even 60, then I'll start running spinners and crawlers. Now you can even tip these crankbaits with a crawler. You can put about a 3 to 4 inch trailer back here. You can run them on this hook, this middle hook, and let them dangle right behind. These lures here work really well, even if you attach a piece of crawler. So now you've got the vibration of the crankbait and then the scent of the crawler. And I've caught a lot of fish just by adding a piece of crawler to the crankbait. So I can't think of anything else right at this very moment as far as the program is concerned. You want to spread your lines out with the offshore trolling boards. Okay, use nice, soft, flexible rods right here, and then creep right along in that half-mile to 1.5-mile-an-hour range. I usually don't go much faster than that in the early springtime when the water temperature is cold. So again, I hope you have some great success out here on Lake Erie. It's a tremendous fishery. It's got a lot of big fish. The Western Basin is loaded with them in April. So I hope this has been a good two-part series on how to fish or how to catch a legitimate 10-pound plus walleye, maybe the trophy of your dreams. And good luck out there. Be safe. Make sure you go out there when the wind and the waves are favorable. If the wind comes out of the south, you're usually pretty good if you're fishing the western end of Lake Erie on the south end here by the Bass Islands. So if you've got a 20 to 25 mile an hour north or east wind, I wouldn't definitely not go out. So just be careful out there, be safe, and good luck. Catch a big one. Stay tuned right here for next week's edition of Ted's Tips.